river Mresnica occupies a particular place in the mythology of the village, and its unfathomable depth contains many stories. In winter, it has been known to freeze over, and then crossing on foot is possible. The ice is thin and crackles underfoot, but of all the sounds one hears rising up from the deep blackness, there is one that cannot be explained, that seems to come from the imagination. Once upon a time there existed a settlement that occupied a plateau above the river. Enclosed by a thick wall built from the local limestone, it presented itself as a formidable defensive structure. Within this fortification a 5th century church has been excavated. But long before the archaeologists arrived, stories of this church, and particularly the fate of its bell, were known and passed down through the village. Of the various routes by which one may approach the church, the ascent via the cliff face is the most challenging.
As you can see, it's not a route that anybody is taking these days. But where we want to go is up there.
Up there, obscured from view, lies a hidden pathway.
So we'll see if we can fight our way through the undergrowth and find the route.
But the path is only accessible once the summer foliage has died away and a clearing made.
So let's try up here. God, it's a struggle. Since people cut the trees here and let in all the light, all this foliage is growing. But they didn't clear away all the small branches. So it's a bit of an ordeal to try and find a way through. This damn pineapple weed sticking to me. Ow, and stinging nettles. No shortage of them. Well, it was a lot easier the last time I came here. No, I think I'm defeated this time. Maybe in the autumn.
The woods are dank and dark and seem to be inhabited only by spirits. Jagged-edged rocks loom overhead menacingly. The way is steep, the ground slippery. I must utilize whatever comes to hand to haul myself up, all the while looking out for any signs of a lost path and a hidden entrance. There are many rocks which suggest a way forward, but actually lead nowhere. The search continues until a concealed gap between two rocks reluctantly opens out and reveals itself. Here lies a narrow shelf and a way forward. At its widest, the path cannot be more than a meter. And the drop from here seems considerable. Edging along its length tentatively, it is at the end where you find a little window. An opening formed by a fallen slab of limestone that enables further passage. It is like I'm passing through a secret portal into a world of light. Squeezing through the gap, I reach a vantage point, commanding a sweeping panoramic view of the river below and overlooking the fields of Slanovac, the site of a terrible battle in 1584. So poisoned was the soil with blood that from that day onward nothing would grow on that tainted land. But I must continue upwards, climbing through the trees of stunted oak and beech over moss-covered rocks and fallen branches. I need to step carefully, but steeling myself for a moment and raising my head, I am richly rewarded with the first glimpse of the end elevation of the church. It is from here that the stories of the bell originate. In the apse, the original curved stone seating remains, where the priests would have sat in contemplation, while the church bell tolled overhead. Some villagers maintain that the old bell was simply transferred to another church, and the finding of a mason's chisel during excavation lends credence to the theory that the church was, in fact, dismantled rather than destroyed some time after 1334, when it was last mentioned in written records. In recent years, other structures have been excavated and restored, and like the church, none of them show any sign of the settlement having been sacked or destroyed, only that the ruins display erosion as a natural consequence of the passing of time. However, given that the fields across the river saw conflict in which the Croatian hussars of the Habsburg army were slaughtered by soldiers loyal to the Ottoman Sultan back in the 16th century, has led others to believe that the bell was captured and melted down to make Turkish cannons. Bells were not only used to call the faithful to prayer, but served as an early warning system, and so were the first target of capture by any advancing Ottoman army. But the most enduring of all these stories tells how the bell slipped from the grip of a priest, perched at the cliff edge and tumbled down the side of the ravine, crashing into the river, its clapper ringing with every jolt as it descended, bounding over rocks and buffering against trees in its path, before splashing into the Meresnica, and was lost in the murky, muddy depths below. It is unclear just how deep the slow-moving river is, but in recent years divers were sent down to try to reach the bottom and possible location of the bell. But after much fruitless searching, the attempt was abandoned, and for all we know, the bell still languishes hidden below the surface. In the quiet of a winter's day, when there is no wind to rattle the last remaining leaves of beech, or shake awake the branches of oak, it is said that the faint sound of a tolling bell echoes out from its watery depth, and that sometimes, on those rare occasions when the river freezes over, if you press your ear to the ice, you can just hear a sound that has resonated for more than 1,000 years.